tell. It's gonna be a great Noel. It's the Advent Calendar House. Muppets, Batman, Smurfs, and even Garfield's Halloween. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane. Frosty, Rudolph, and a bunch you've probably never seen. It's Mike and pals that come to entertain. Turn the knob and lift the latch for fun and laughs that can't be matched. Just beware the icy patch. It's the Advent Calendar House.
Welcome back to the Advent Calendar House. A salute to all holiday specials, but mostly the Christmas ones, including the ones I saw once as a small child and found again on the internet decades later. That's how we ended up at today's stop on our Christmas in July countdown, so join us on a trip back to 1983 with Buttons the Bear and Rusty the Fox aboard the Christmas Tree Train.
The Christmas tree train is coming, bringing trees for all the kids. Oh, the little puffer belly shakes a lot like jelly. See the smoke come from the stack as it chugs along the track.
I am Mountain Lion, who's not quite hungry enough to risk getting snowed on, Mike Westfall. And joining me is kindly Forest Ranger, who has no problem letting wild animals crash on his couch in front of the TV. Please welcome back Ethan, the Hungry Reader. Hello, Ethan.
Glad to be here again. It's always a delight.
Well, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. You had a hard time finding someone to do this one, didn't you?
I did. I tweeted this picture of just Buttons and Rusty from this special, asking the world if anyone even recognized them, and I'm really glad you did.
Do you know where I recognize them from?
No, where did you recognize them from?
Your article about the top 100 Christmas specials.
Really? I didn't even think that I included that. I won't doubt you, but...
That was the first place I ever saw it, and I was like, this is bringing it full circle, isn't it? We got to do this one.
Wow. I ranked that in the top 100? No, sorry.
I wonder what got bumped for Buttons and Rusty.
But apparently I have stronger memories of later specials with these characters. I've seen a Halloween one and a Thanksgiving one that we may revisit. But after watching this again, I think I only remembered the last 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It was difficult finding things to comment on. I mean, should I give my overall impressions right now, or do you want me to hang on to them?
Sure, give them to me right now.
The Christmas Tree Train feels like a Christmas special that characters in another Christmas special would be watching. This is like the kind of thing that like Angelica Pickles would be sitting through.
That is a perfect description.
There is something uniquely generic about it. And I think, that's kind of the charming thing about it, because everything, you can see echoes of so many things that you already know. I mean, clearly there's the Yogi Bear influence, but also it kind of has a lot of the same plot as The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas.
Yes, that's another one I need to get to.
So yeah, it started making you wonder, like, okay, if this is a Christmas special that should be watched by people in another Christmas special, am I in a Christmas special? How far down does this go?
It's all in Cousin Tommy's snow globe.
Am I going to learn the true meaning of Christmas?
Yeah, but then what really surprised me is how long these characters lasted, how long this franchise, in quotes, lived, because they kept making holiday specials up through 1994. And then, as I'm researching this, I found out there was an actual TV series later in the 90s called Chucklewood Critters.
Yes, that was what really blew my mind, was that, not only did this just keep going, but, it kept going despite the fact that there doesn't seem to be any audience for it. You haven't found anyone with any kind of nostalgia for this, have you?
I found one website called the Unofficial Chucklewood Critters homepage, which is the perfect example of an early internet fan page. Just paragraphs of very helpful information in lime green Comic Sans on a black background.
See, when the internet was first getting started and you couldn't find everything, a lot of people started their own websites on things that nobody cared about because it was the equivalent at the time of posting first.
Yeah, basically, we were all just kind of, before Wikipedia existed, we have to put these things together ourselves if we really wanted information on it.
And, and a lot of times it would get, the canon and the fanon would get hopelessly blurred. And that's why so many people think there was another season of Street Sharks with a female member.
What, did they get it confused with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Next Mutation?
I think that was kind of the intention. It was, somebody wrote a Street Sharks episode guide, but then continued it into a whole new season and added new characters and made fake screenshots for it. And because there aren't that many dedicated Street Sharks fans, this got just repeated as canon in, various printed media and so forth.
Oh, that's funny.
It's sort of like the whole thing about Compsognathus being the size of a fox terrier, and nobody knows how big a fox terrier is anymore.
So, but before finding this homepage from 20 years ago, I had never even heard of the name Chucklewood Critters.
Yeah, it sounds made up. It's like the Cadillac Cats.
Yeah, right. But it apparently was a series that ran from 1997 to 1999.
1999?
Yes.
The results.
I was shocked Buttons and Rusty made it out of the 80s, let alone lasting through the 90s.
That means it was probably partially CGI. Gosh.
It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's all traditionally animated. It looks like
good old Chinese prison labor animation.
Yeah, right. It looks like it ran in the United Kingdom, this last series. I don't know if it made it over here in the States, but...
Yeah, I think in the United States we would recognize it as something that's, a fake version of America, but they wouldn't recognize that there.
Nope. But let's climb aboard, and if y'all want to follow along at home, the Christmas Tree Train is pretty easy to find online. I found multiple uploads, so have at it. And I hope you like the opening shots of this train, because that's probably the most you're going to see of the actual Christmas tree train in this entire special.
It's not really about the train, no.
No, it's not.
What it is about is, maybe it is about the train. I don't know.
Well, let's start at the beginning. We're introduced to this train by Ranger Jones, who oversees the forest where he says all the best Christmas trees are grown. And the lumberjacks who cut them down so people can have real trees in their homes arrive at this forest aboard the Christmas tree train. A scene that sounds fascinating, and we don't even get to see it.
Yeah, you notice that they play this up as the Christmas tree train, but there's nothing special about it. I thought it was going to be sort of like, like the little engine that could, and carrying like all kinds of dollies and stuff. And,
it's
just a standard train. Is it a steam engine? I forget.
I think so. I think you see a little puffs of steam coming out of it.
Yeah, because I know that in the song, the song refers to it as a puffer belly. Something I've only ever heard in Down by the Station.
Early in the morning.
Did anyone ever use that phrase? Did you ever hear people at the Roundhouse, man, got another puffer belly coming in?
No, I have only heard that word in that song. And there was a restaurant where I grew up called the Puffer Belly Restaurant, and it was near a train station. So, but
wow. I don't know. Puffer belly sounds like it would serve fugu.
I forget. Long time ago, but the voice of Ranger Jones is William Boyett.
Well, my forest is where all the best Christmas trees are grown, you see. And that old train brings the lumberjacks who cut the trees that wind up in your living rooms each Christmas. Well, you didn't think they grew in the city, now did you?
Who's got a very long acting resume dating back to the 1950s, but I know him best from a single scene in the movie Newsies as a judge.
Wow, that's if you got to go as far back to cameos and Newsies, this must be a working actor, as they say.
Yes,
somebody
absolutely.
Who probably had a lot of talent that he never really got to show. At least, most of the time, these guys, they consider their work on the stage to be their real career, and then they do stuff on TV just for beer money. That's how Patrick Stewart looks at the world.
There you go. This might be one of those cases. It looks like he was typecast as an officer a lot, including an educational film from 1959 to teach high school students learning to drive how to be safe at railroad crossings, which I only mention because it was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
No way.
Yes.
Which one was it? Was it Last Clear Chance?
It might be that one. Yeah, Last Clear Chance.
Last Clear Chance. Oh my God. He was the officer who snapped.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yup.
I didn't know we had a celebrity here.
Right. We got a few more coming, but this is Forest Ranger Jones, William Boyette, died in 2002.
Notice that is not Ranger Smith. That's
Not Ranger Smith, it's Ranger
Jones.
Jones, or Jonesy to his friends.
Yes.
And he gives us the old, "You've never heard of the Christmas tree train" trope. But it actually makes sense this time as opposed to stuff like Rudolph. Yeah, I've heard of Rudolph. Who are you talking to?
But do you recall the most famous train of all? No, not the Polar Express.
Yeah. That's still 2 years off from the making of this special, but after telling us about this train, he introduces us to some of his friends who have ridden this train just a year ago, he said, and his friends are these woodland creatures who live in the forest. We have Buttons the bear cub.
Gee willikers, what are all the lights for, Mr. Jones?
Played by Barbara Goodson, the voice of Rita Repulsa.
Ah! After 10,000 years, I'm free!
Ah! Oh my God! And, well, I'm familiar with Rita Repulsa, but I consider her, her most definitive role to be in as the villainess in Flint the Time Detective.
Okay. She's got she's got a big long resume of voice acting credits, and it's a lot of anime ladies.
How old was she when she made this one? She must have been pretty young.
Let's find out.
Because she's still working.
Yeah.
Her voice isn't aging that badly right now, so.
I don't have a date of birth for Barbara Goodson, but it says she has been active 1965 to present.
Oh, well,
wow.
Maybe she is older than I thought. Dang.
Well, all right. But notably, she was also the voice of the young Goku in the original Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I recognize that. There's certain gruffness that grown women use for little boys.
Yes. And on that note, she was also the voice of Blinky the koala from Noozles. And then we have Rusty the fox voicing both him and his mother Rosie is Kathy Ritter, who appears to be best known for this.
Rusty, I'm serving supper in 30 minutes.
Gee, thanks, Mom. We won't be long.
But her IMDb stops at 1988. She was a few voices in a couple of other anime dubs, including something called Crusher Joe the Movie and Time Fighters. And then we also meet Buttons' mother, Bridget, voiced by Morgan Lofting. There's a name I brought up before. It's the Baroness.
Oh, excuse me, Rosie. I guess it's getting close to hibernation time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there are a few G.I. Joe connections here, and that show starts a little bit later than this special, but we'll get to them as we go. But that's the first one, and that's the one that I recognized immediately as far as names go. Certainly not voices.
A little more countrified than the Baroness, but she's an actress.
Different country. But a lot of this introductory dialogue is just, "Mom, can we go to the ranger station?" "Okay, but be back in time for supper."
Yeah, this typical, mom and kid stuff, just establishing families. And so we see Buttons and Rusty for the first time, and I don't like their character designs.
No.
Buttons is okay, but he's got the Barney Rubble eyes, and everyone else has visible sclera, and it's a little off-putting. Especially because he has a sort of mask over his face that makes it look like he should have the connected Sonic the Hedgehog eyes, but he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. I mean, later it turns out that there's a teddy bear who looks exactly like him, so I guess they were trying to find some sort of happy medium in there.
I wonder if there were plans to make actual teddy bears that look just like
Oh, well, wishful thinking. But
him. Right up there with Lumpkin the Pumpkin and his stickers.
yes.
But and then there's Rusty, and Rusty looks like when your friends, when you were 12, were trying to draw their own Sonic the Hedgehog characters, and they just always made them, I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog, he already looks like a dog toy. He looks like he's made out of rope and some softballs.
Yeah.
And this is just way too gangly, and he does not look like a child at all. He looks like, it looks like this innocent bear cub has some sort of weird man with him. And then you see his parents, and they tower over him like the Pink Panther.
They do. That is a good comparison, the Pink Panther. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, that's how they're drawn. They're drawn like your friend in class who's doodling in their notebook. They got the really long eyeballs. They're like almost oval shaped, but they're standing up. And yeah, that's that's it. You nailed it.
Did you notice that his eyes seem to kind of be inside out? Like he's got the sclera are blue and then the pupils are white.
I didn't notice that. Hang on a second. Oh my goodness, you're right. In some scenes, but not all of them. It's weird.
Oh, so it's an error, but a common error.
Yeah, it might be, or maybe it's just like the iris part takes up so much of the eye that it can throw you off there.
I feel like they were trying to give him like anime shine, but they didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, that looks like it might be the case now that you mention that, now that I'm looking at it again. And then the rest of this dialogue is just the bears going, boy, am I tired. Almost time to hibernate, to establish that Christmas is coming.
Yes, the mother bear is Bridget, and as you mentioned before, the father bear is Abner. And guess which of these four parents, guess how many of them wear clothes?
Just the one.
And it's the dad.
Buttons' his father. Yeah.
What does he have to cover up that the others don't?
Not sure I want to know, but... Which brings us to the inside of their caves, and that brings, first off, the bears and the foxes live together in the same cave.
Yeah, they're roommates or something. I would think they'd at least get a duplex cave, but no, they live together, and I guess it's a comfortable arrangement for the foxes because they have all the winter to themselves while the bears sleep.
I guess so.
Yeah, so it's kind of like having a live-in house sitter.
There you go. It doesn't seem to be a crowded forest, but apparently that got me thinking, is this common in nature? And apparently foxes and bears living together is not a sign of mass hysteria. I found a study published last year that observed gray foxes hanging out with black bears as sort of bodyguards.
Oh.
As like a buffer. I'm going to hang out near these bears in case any other critters try and attack me.
As we all know, though, sharks and bears are nature's best friends.
That's right. So the voice of Buttons' father, Abner, is Alvy Moore.
Oh, gosh. Is it spring already?
Who is best known from Green Acres as the local agricultural agent who's basically a parody of every incompetent local bureaucrat ever.
Is he the one who's always explaining himself?
Yep. Yeah. Just kind of talking out of his butt. And he's also the voice of Grandpa Little.
Oh, I thought that was where that sounded familiar. The Grandpa Little, who always addresses everyone else with the last name Little included, like, Dinky Little, get back here. I think he was furious with everyone.
Everyone's in trouble at all times. And finally, we have Rusty's dad, George, who is already very annoyed at Abner snoring.
Terrific. I've got a whole winter of that buzzsaw to look forward to.
His voice is Bill Ratner, another future G.I. Joe star. He was Flint.
Yeah, I thought I heard Flint in there. But he had a flinty kind of voice.
Yep, it's his resting Flint voice. Well, Buttons and Rusty pay a visit to the ranger who's hanging up Christmas lights on his watchtower. And the Cubs have never seen Christmas lights because they're usually already asleep by this time of year. So why aren't they asleep this year? I didn't catch that if they threw it.
I don't know. I think I'm going to guess that Abner's snoring is keeping even the other bears awake.
There we go. I like that better than, I don't know, climate change. But But the ranger finds himself having to explain to these cubs about Christmas and presents, and particularly Sandy Claus.
Yes, and they don't decide to kidnap the Sandy Claus this time.
No, they don't. But that made me think Tim Burton has totally watched this special.
I wonder if he might have had an early job with it.
Ooh. Didn't even think about that, but there's a non-zero chance.
He was an animator around this time, yeah.
Yeah. But I found it a little odd that the Cubs don't know what a present is, only because they speak perfect English and can talk to humans.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with this whole thing, is that our main characters, it's about Buttons and Rusty, and they know nothing. They've never been to the city. They barely know anything about human culture. So all of this movie is the movie being explained to the main characters.
Yeah, that is kind of how this whole thing goes. And it starts with, what's a Christmas present? Well, here you go. And the ranger shows him some presents that he's giving to his grandchildren, including a Jack-in-the-Box, which frightens the heck out of the Cubs.
Hey, don't be scared. It's only a toy.
And they run out of the cabin and out of earshot just as a snowstorm starts.
I want to say, have you ever in your life seen a push-button Jack-in-the-Box?
No, I haven't. They've all had
You're supposed to
cranks.
turn a crank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, they push a button and...
What a strange model of Jack-in-the-Box.
Yeah, I don't know. But they run out of the cabin, they run into this snowstorm, and it's the kind with thunder and lightning, so they huddle under a large tree for only a brief moment before they find themselves being chased by a mountain lion, but not for very long because the mountain lion doesn't like snow either.
Did you notice that the mountain lion was making battle cat noises the whole time?
Yes.
We better get started for home. Let's go.
No, wait. I'm too tired to move right now.
On second thought, let's run for it.
I'm glad they had access to stock footage of a battle cat roar.
Okay, let's throw in a little bit of trivia here. Yes, Battle Cat was supposed to be saying something when he transformed, but they decided it didn't sound good, and they just dubbed over it with roars.
Really?
Yes, he's actually supposed to be saying, I have the power too.
Is there audio of this?
I've never heard the audio, but that is what he's scripted to say. And you can see it matches his lip flaps. So, yeah.
Well, I'm never going to be able to unsee that now. That's amazing.
Yeah, and now I always try to hear it in the roars.
Almost sounded like Falco from Star Fox for a second.
Which is funny because it's the voice of Falcor.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, wow.
The puns never end.
Nope. So the Cubs run all the way to the people part of the park. No people around at the moment, but they run into this picnic area where Buttons runs right into a garbage can and then says,
That was pretty stupid, me running into a garbage can.
Did we even see him run into the garbage can, or did we just see the garbage sprayed around and him saying, I just ran into a garbage can?
Yeah, I think he ran into it off screen, and then we cut back to him lying next to it. And we're like, well, that was dumb of me. Not really, you're a bear.
Let's do all our pratfalls off screen from now on.
Sure.
Oh, that was dumb of me falling off the bed while I'm doing a podcast.
Oh, I'm glad you explained that for no one watching. But I'm more surprised he knew what a garbage can was. 2 minutes ago, he didn't know what a present was.
Yeah, I guess they should see, a present is like a kind of garbage can, except
Except you keep the things inside. Well, I guess a bear would too if they found anything in a garbage can.
Yeah.
But this series of trying to get through the forest and figuring out where they are goes a bit longer. They get spooked by an owl, and Buttons actually starts to snowboard on a trash can lid. In my notes, I wrote shield surf.
Shield surf.
I got The Legend of Zelda on the mind.
It's I think in the Winter Olympics they call that skeleton.
Okay, yeah. Well, meanwhile, the Cubs' parents are worried, naturally, and Rusty's dad finally wakes up Abner to help him look for them. Meanwhile, Buttons and Rusty have no idea where they are now, but they hear someone shouting nearby, and finally it's one of those lumberjacks the ranger told us about. It's the only lumberjack we see in this special. He doesn't see the Cubs, who run smack into a pile of cut Christmas trees, but again, it's kind of off screen, and they run into it behind this giant pile of lumber.
So the guy, he's using this abstract fantasy bulldozer with a couple of giant claws that can grab about 10 trees at once. And I'm wondering if this was necessary just to make this plot work at all, to give him something that, if there was anything that he could have been using that he wouldn't have seen the bear cub and fox cub in.
Yeah, that sounds right. I tried to look at this. I'm like, does this piece of machinery actually exist, or did they merge a bulldozer with a forklift?
Yeah, it looks like something from Cybertron.
You never know.
Yeah, in disguise.
Yeah, here it is. But this pile of cut Christmas trees gets picked up by this machine and loaded onto the fabled Christmas tree train. There it is.
Yep. And that's all we see of it for the most part. The rest of the movie either takes place inside it or fleeing from it.
Yeah. So now they're stuck on this moving train, but they don't know that. They think they're locked in a cage and going to one of those zoo places.
Yes, they've heard bad things about zoos, which is, kind of the opposite of how now we regard zoos as one of the most important factors we have in protecting animals.
Right.
But I guess if you're a wild animal, then you would have been told all your life to avoid the zoos because some family member went there and never came back.
Yeah, that's a good point. But this is our first hint that this special is about to take a turn into, boy, humans sure are terrible.
Do you think that's where they were going with it? Because it feels like if they were, they never got around to it.
I feel like we get sprinkles of it here and there, especially when we arrive in the city and they're making their way around there.
Yeah, a lot of this is just fish out of water stuff for the most part.
Sure.
Again, they've never seen the city. They barely know anything about humans. I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't have to have toys explained to them.
Yeah, they don't. I guess they kind of did. I guess that was supposed to be part of the Rangers thing, but they got through that so quickly.
Yeah, they saw one toy and then they were afraid. So,
well, back at the cabin, the Rangers enjoying a TV dinner while watching the most underwhelming White House tree lighting ceremony I have ever seen.
In a moment, the president will be throwing the switch on our national Christmas tree, and isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, I was wondering, so what does the turkey pardoning look like in this world? Does it just kind of like pin a most improved homework award on the turkey and be like, go home?
Yeah. Well, there's the turkey, was just pardoned. We're about to go live to watch the tree lighting, and it's lit.
Hey, there isn't any kind of regular. Oh, no, there's the Easter egg roll. I forgot about that. That was.
Oh, that's right.
And the president has dropped the Easter egg down the stairs. Coming up next.
And here's a bunch of characters from all over pop culture hanging out at the White House for the Easter egg roll.
Some of whom are from decades-old products.
That's right. But the inside of the Ranger's cabin is more sparsely decorated than the outside, but he's got wreaths and garland and a large portrait of another gruffer-looking Ranger on the wall labeled Dad.
He comes from a long line of Rangers.
That's right. It's a family business.
Yeah, no sign of any mother, so clearly his dad must have eventually just butted him off like a jellyfish.
Oh, dear. Here we go. Well, there's a knock at the door, and George and Abner, who've come looking for their kids, are at the other end, and Jonesy explains what happened to them. So then the Ranger and George the Fox go immediately out to search for the Cubs, while Abner just falls asleep on the couch.
Father of the Year.
Have you ever gone to someone else's place and just immediately crashed on their couch?
If I was being invited to stay there for several days, sometimes. Not if it was like, hi, can I sleep here? Can I?
Yeah, no, I remember that happening to me once, and it was years ago at a coworker's house after a company holiday party. Afterward, we went out to some bar. I don't remember how we got from the bar back to his place, but I woke up on his couch.
Must have been quite a bar.
I guess so, but thankfully it was when I still worked where I could take a train home. So sometimes you just have to crash on someone's couch for the night, kids. Find yourself a friend who won't mind.
With a couch.
With a couch, preferably. Well, back on the train, Buttons and Rusty hear a spooky whoo sound, but it's a friendly owl. I'm not positive about whose voice this is. It sounds like it could also be William Boyett.
I thought I was flying into a barn, but it turned out to be a boxcar.
I was trying to figure out if this was the same owl that they'd been scared by earlier.
I think it's supposed to be. Well, at least they know how to draw one kind of owl.
Yeah, it's kind of got a little bit of the look of the owl from that Preston Blair How to Draw Cartoons thing that everyone sees everywhere on the internet.
Yeah.
The one demonstrating how you turn a hand into a wing in a smooth motion. Yeah.
Right. There is one other credited voice actor in this special named Bobby West. His only credit on IMDb is this special, so maybe that's the owl. I don't know. But
Bobby West. I don't know.
I got nothing. But this owl explains to the Cubs that they're on a train headed to the big city, which the owl describes as a big forest full of buildings, cars, and people. And the Cubs have heard of one of those things.
Which one haven't they heard of? They hadn't heard of buildings?
They haven't heard of cars.
Oh.
But naturally, they think, oh, we'll feel right at home in a forest. What could possibly go wrong?
Just ask Bubsy.
No, the Bobcat was not available for this special. But
he might have looked better than Rusty, honestly.
Probably. And he's wearing a shirt. But
2 pairs of clothes. Oh, that's why they skipped out on his audition. They were like, too much wardrobe.
Too much outerwear. Well, back in the forest, George and the Ranger find the tipped over garbage can and Rusty's paw prints in the snow, but not Buttons' paw prints, because it was then that Rusty carried him.
I just want to say that when we saw Buttons go off the cliff on the trash can lid, and he just goes soaring into the void. I'm like, he's dead now.
Yeah, really? They do find a full body print that's just perfectly bear-shaped hole in the snow. But
and I'm imagining the Ranger coming back to Bridget and be like, with his hat in his hands, like, I don't know how to say this, but it's unevaporated in contact with the ground. We couldn't even find any bones.
Thankfully, they do end up following the trail to the train tracks, and he puts 2 and 2 together, and the Ranger decides he'd better call up the train station in the big city and get them to be on the lookout for a fox and a bear cub, who at that moment are still on the train listening to this owl's horror stories about humans. And it's all true. We're the worst.
I mean, I can't deny it. Look at me. I'm awful.
Well, they finally arrive at the train's destination. At the instructions of the owl, the Cubs make a run for it as soon as the train stops. The owl gets back on the train back home, but one of the men working at the station, who had just been told to look out for this fox and bear cub, chase the pair around the station, and Buttons and Rusty never get back onto their train home, so now they're lost in the big city.
I would think that anyone working at a train station would know better than to chase somebody around with moving trains.
You would think. Thankfully, they didn't have the budget to animate any more trains.
Yes. Yeah, none of these were diesel trains, were they? I mean,
not that I saw.
What year do you think this takes place?
I don't know. It looks like they're trying to make it present day, so 1983 or thereabouts.
Yeah, but they're still using steam Lokis to transport the Christmas tree train. Well, I guess it's just traditional because it's the Christmas tree train at
I
this
guess
point.
so, yeah.
Maybe it's a tourist thing. It's like a large hay ride. Ride with the Christmas
Ooh,
trees.
hey.
You know what? That sounds great. I would want to do that.
I want to do that. They have like a sort of Polar Express thing around here, even though it's Florida, but they cover up the windows, I guess. I don't know how that works. But now they're lost in the big city, which is clearly supposed to be New York. You can see what's supposed to be the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building.
Oh, I was going to ask if you recognize any skyscrapers. I guess it's New York.
I'm guessing, but if it is, it looks like they're actually running into the city from New Jersey.
Yeah, I was going to say, where is there a forest in New Jersey?
Yeah.
I was trying to oh wait, does this take place in steamed hams territory?
That could be where it starts. It might be an Albany Christmas tree train. But this is the most deserted bridge in New York.
Yeah, nobody's there. What? I mean, is it Christmas Day now? Where is everyone?
It's not. It's before Christmas, as we find out later. But
oh yeah, it's true.
Even as they're walking through the city, this place looks like there's nobody here for the first few minutes that they're exploring the place. And it reminds me of A Boy Named Charlie Brown when Linus is looking for his blanket.
Yeah, it does. Oh, memories.
It's 2 a.m. and there's no one else in this city.
I imagine there must be times in New York when you can go somewhere and there's nobody there. But I mean, it's a city of 8 million. So those have got to be some very rare times.
I don't think so. I really honestly don't think there's ever a time when any quarter of New York City is dead.
Well, I know that I've heard that in New York, you're never less than 5 feet from a rat.
Yeah, really.
Sometimes from your own personal rat.
Yeah, well.
Buttons and Rusty will return right after these messages.
You can visit Santa in the wintertime because right now he's at Santa's Village in the San Bernardino Mountains. 12 big rides provide fun for the whole family. Visit the petting zoo. See Santa's reindeer. There's food and treats from the Pixie Pantry and the Good Witch's Bakery and lots more. Santa's Village is fun, forest, and fantasy all rolled into one. Santa's Village in the colorful San Bernardino Mountains on Highway 18, just 30 minutes north of San Bernardino. Now open daily.
And now back to our program.
So we get a little bit more of them trying to find their way around the city and get home. They hear a police siren and they think it's a city animal. They run into a snowplow driven by a guy whom they think looks kind of like Jonesy, but he doesn't see the animals and they get plowed right into a sewer. Hey, there are the rats.
This part kind of reminds me of Ratatouille.
Yeah, a little bit, especially that first part when he's kind of scampering around trying to escape the house and the lady with the gun.
Yeah, and he ends up staying in the sewer reading his book for a while. And but yeah, this is why I didn't think it was New York, because they went to the sewers and there was no jokes about alligators.
No, the jokes here are, I guess, city people don't like rivers hiding them away like this.
Clever.
They run through the sewer like that one level of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game for Nintendo with that one jump that everyone had trouble with. But they emerge back up on the surface, and now it's a much more lively city street full of cars and taxis all honking at each other.
So I have a theory about this world.
Oh?
This is a future wherein managed to turn all the Smurfs to gold and became very wealthy, and now everyone is descended from him. Everyone looks like Gargamel in this version of New York.
They do. I thought that the human characters at least had a sort of Hanna-Barbera quality to their faces, but not the animals. These animals don't look like Yogi Bear or Hokey Wolf or whatever.
The cats all look like Azrael.
The cats do. Yeah, the cats that they find in this alley absolutely are carbon copies of Azrael. So, yeah, you're right. The Smurfs, that's the connection.
So this is a, terrifying bad end for the Smurfs.
Oh, no.
And maybe that would explain why there are talking animals who have perfectly reasonable relationships with the Rangers. There's some sort of leftover Papa Smurf magic in this world.
Oh, could be. That's it. Because no one else seems to understand. Well, they're not really talking to any other humans. They're hiding from them.
Yeah. It's like they're pretending to be normal animals.
Yeah.
Are there normal animals?
Who even knows at this point? Not in this universe. The humans don't even seem to notice these animals. Everyone seems to be in a hurry. It's the hustle and bustle of the big city, but they end up in a subway and someone reading a newspaper just bowls over them and knocks them down onto the train tracks.
The thing that struck me was the part once they get out of the subway, you see them hiding behind a big box of sand. You've lived in snowy areas. Is that a regular thing? Just big public sandboxes?
Not really. I wonder if it was supposed to be salt for the roads, but it doesn't look all that snowy there. It wasn't even all that snowy in the forest. You only saw little piles of it here and there.
Yeah, and Jonesy even points that out at the very beginning. It's like, just a little bit of snow here and there.
Yeah, no, I live near a bunch of sand mines, but we don't keep them in boxes in buildings behind alleys. But now, from there, the Cubs kind of end up in this alley full of cardboard boxes where they're trying to hide from a man with a giant knife. It's supposed to be a packing knife, but the shadow of this guy looks like he's opening boxes with a dang scimitar.
Yeah. I was kind of cringing for some kind of horrible Arabic stereotype, but no,
dear. Just
a working guy.
Just doesn't know how to draw a knife. But inside one box is a stuffed teddy bear that looks exactly like Buttons.
Yeah, for no apparent reason. I guess teddy foxes aren't a thing.
Probably not yet. I mean, you can get a stuffed fox, but they're not. Yeah. No, they're not popular. It's just bears in this box.
Because right. Teddy Roosevelt didn't spare one.
Oh dear. And there were none left. So they hide in this box, which is picked up by Barney the toy store manager.
Man, this teddy bear looks almost real.
And he is voiced by Dan Roth, another G.I. Joe cast member. He was the voice of the rarely seen infantry trooper Grunt.
Grunt?
I didn't even remember Grunt.
Are we sure it's an individual? It's not just some random voice?
It's an individual.
Huh.
He's got one of those cards and an action figure.
Oh, okay. Well then. Is he part of a group of... this one is Doughboy, this one is Grunt.
Oh, could be. They all have one specialty. His is infantry.
That means he goes after the infants.
Oh, no. It's King Herod.
Which is what he's doing now.
See, it's Christmas special. But Barney's accompanied by an older guy called Gramps, who, according to Barney, believes he's really Santa Claus.
You saved me a half a dozen of each of those, Barney. They're going to be a big hit with some of my customers.
Poor old guy. He acts like he believes he's really Santa Claus.
And he might look the part here. He's got the beard for it, but he's wearing a blue derby hat and a suit instead of Santa's usual red.
We're getting a little bit into Night of the Meek here for some reason.
Oh, wow. Here's a reference. I should do that. But
oh, yeah, definitely.
But Barney brings this box back up to the toy department where we get some weird grown-up dialogue here. I guess this is how these writers thought adults talked to each other.
Alice, make room in the zoo.
Don't tell me you found the teddy bears.
Yep, just for that, I'll let you buy me coffee.
Yeah, the whole thing about, and for that, you can buy me a cup of coffee.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever met an adult in your life, sir? I guess some people feel like they have to maintain a childlike perspective to write cartoons, but I don't think that's true. Maybe they did then. But I mean, you know as well as I do that cartoons are celebrating their 120th consecutive year of not being just for kids anymore.
Never happened. Yeah, it does remind me of adult dialogue and other things that are supposed to celebrate the innocence of children. Like I'm thinking specifically of Witches' Night Out when you hear kind of the banter of the people at the party.
Oh, I love that.
They don't make staircases like this. Yeah.
Nicely patched out. Already?
And then there's this boy who comes into the store. And we'll see him again, but for now he wants to hold Buttons. He sees Buttons on a counter, gives what he assumes is a plain old teddy bear a little poke on the belly, and Buttons leaps up and runs for it, followed by Rusty.
So, I wanted to say that as strange as this adult dialogue is, it sure comes across as a lot more, a lot less forced than what the kid says when he goes, "Gee, what a nifty toy!"
Oh, yeah.
Gee, what a nifty toy. Can I hold that funny little fat one? I want to play with him.
I don't know which voice actor is this kid, but it is very forced. It was just like, what do children say? I don't know.
Feels like this child was dared to come in here and say that.
Oh, yeah. Go in there and...
If you could have adults sit on each other's shoulders under an overcoat and pretend to be a child, this is what you do.
I can't believe we fell for Muppet Man. So now these two store managers are running after the Cubs, and one of the managers says, "Let's check the cafeteria. Animals can't resist food." And sure enough, they hear the word food and head right for it. Steal two women's hot dogs while no one's looking.
Yeah, these women are... One of them kind of looks like a older version of Velma. I don't know about the other one.
Oh, wow, you're right. It is a post-apocalyptic future. Old Velma, no Smurfs.
It's the bad end for Hanna-Barbera itself.
Oh, no. Well, then Buttons and Rusty hide in what they think is a tiny forest, and this is the scene I remembered. And I think everyone who has seen this will remember the most from this special.
Yeah. Christmas time window decorations are apparently such a big deal in big cities that they will build practically whole narratives around them. I'm a big fan of riff tracks, and there's at least one riff tracks movie that's almost all just looking at window decorations. It's,
oh, wow.
Which one is it? It's Wizzo's Christmas Circus.
Wizzo's Christmas Circus.
Yes, the one that's a feature-length episode of Wizzo the Clown, who was a Kansas City institution for decades, apparently.
Okay, wow. Looking that up later.
And it's mostly just him looking at window dressings.
That's it. Says it all in the box. Yeah, this is one of those decorated window scenes, complete with a train track, some flocked trees, and toys both wrapped and unwrapped all around the pair. But at first, the window isn't open yet, so the Cubs don't see anyone, and no one sees them, so they think it's safe to both end up falling asleep under this display's big, tall tree.
Yeah, I guess if there's any... What's the word I'm looking for? The thing that you can't have a story without. Conflict. If there's any conflict in this movie, it's that Buttons always wants to go to sleep because he's a bear. He's a bear and it's time. And Rusty is like, no, this is a bad place to go to sleep. But this is where they finally do get to.
Yeah, at first, Rusty really doesn't think he should be falling asleep now, but they both end up just crashing under this tree. Meanwhile, an employee hits the lights and the music opens up, and we get this cute little song called Winter Times here.
It's a great surprise when you open up your eyes and the dreams that you dream appear. It's snowing, it's snowing, winter time's here.
So it's an okay song. I mean, how many other songs are in this? It's just this and the Christmas Tree Train song, right?
It's just those two.
Okay, so, yeah. I mean, the songs are not, they're not going to kill it for you. There are some times when you just want to fast forward through the musical sequences in this one, but, the best thing I can say about these ones is they're easy to forget, and that means thumbs up from me.
Yeah, you could throw it on a playlist of classic Christmas songs and no one would notice.
Yep. Yeah, they'd notice the ones before and after, but this was, This is like a nice little break where you can actually talk and refill your cocoa before the next good one starts.
Yeah, yeah, this is, the curtain's now open, the train and the toys in the window display start moving, Buttons and Rusty now wake up and immediately decide, well, time to dance.
Yeah, they seem to figure out that the kids think they're toys, so they're like, okay, let's pretend to be toys. So they do a little toy soldier march and start bobbing around, winking and getting kids' attention, playing wink murder with them, that kind of thing. And,
5 minutes ago, they seemed terrified of all these humans, and now they're putting on a show for them.
Yeah, I mean, for some of us, that's just how we defend ourselves.
Yeah, there it is.
It's like being a toon, Laughter is the only weapon we have.
That's it. And the crowd loves it. They think the Cubs are also toys and part of this display. A TV news van rolls up, and as someone who used to work in local news for more than 10 years, yes, this is absolutely a plausible live shot.
I want to say that this is where it started to really remind me of the movie Hey There, It's Yogi Bear, if you know that one.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that one in a long time. Probably not since the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well it holds up. I don't know how well it held up when I first saw it at 8, but yeah, the whole scene with, Ranger Smith seeing Yogi on TV and being like, and deploying his troops. Himself, really.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens here. I guess this particular TV station had enough of a reach to get back to the ranger station in the Christmas tree forest.
Huh. Well, it's New York.
So the Cubs' parents, who are hanging out on the couch in the Rangers' cabin, see their children on television. And of course, Jonesy just happens to know a guy who works there in the city at this time of year. And it's Gramps from before, but now he's dressed as Santa Claus.
Is Gramps Santa Claus? Because I thought Gramps looked different. I thought Gramps had had a longer beard than Santa does here.
Oh, I took it as the same character. It's definitely the same voice. It's definitely Alvy Moore doing the voice.
So maybe they just pulled an already existing Santa design out of storage and that didn't necessarily match Gramps.
Okay, I am assuming this is the same character.
Okay.
From the dialogue earlier with this other guy, like talking to Buttons.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight with you over that.
No. But while Santa is on the phone with Jonesy, because he happened to be by this phone in the back room where no one else is, he knew to call that number, which is strange, but sure. But while that's happening, this kid from before who poked Buttons in the belly kind of pokes his head out from behind some boxes in, again, what looks like the back area of a department store where a kid should not be.
Yeah, and he's just standing there with just his head and neck visible, like Oscar the Grouch, staring at Santa with this absolutely furious expression for way too long. And that gave me the biggest laugh. Like, what are you planning on eating him, kid? Are you waiting for him to get close enough?
Yeah, stares a hole into Santa and says, I bet those whiskers are fake.
Yeah, I didn't think this kid was going to turn out to be the quote-unquote bad guy of our story.
Yeah, what is it with TV shows thinking boys of a certain age are just going around stalking fake Santas to de-beard?
I don't know. And it never is a fake Santa, is it?
Not usually.
Unless it's your dad, Homer Simpson.
Right, I think that's the only example I can think of.
And it's always the real Santa, yeah.
Joke's on you, kid. We already saw this guy's beard, yeah. But Santa peeks out from behind the window display curtain now, calls for Buttons and Rusty, tells him he's going to take them home, and they very happily jump into his arms, and he takes them over to a nearby chimney in what I guess is now an employee's lounge of the store, because there's a couch there and a full ashtray of cigarette butts.
Wow, could it get any more 1983?
Right.
We hadn't even had the first Great American Smokeout, had we?
No, but even then, I don't think I've ever seen so many ashtrays in a cartoon before.
it's just such a, this is within our lifetimes, and it's still such an alien world.
Right.
You think back to the 80s and you forget that everything smelled like smoke. There was litter everywhere because they hadn't started the anti-littering campaign.
Right. Yeah. This was before restaurants had a smoking section. The restaurant was the smoking section. Either you dealt with it or you didn't go out to eat.
Because now most restaurants, they just don't have any smoking section.
No, not at all. No, everywhere is non-smoking. You can go on vacation in one of those rental homes and they're non-smoking, even though no one else is staying there.
Yeah. I mean, I would feel bad for smokers, but I mean, how long have we been telling you to stop? Come on.
Yeah.
Get with it.
Really. But then here's this kid again, still stalking Santa, thinking he's going to catch him, take off his costume or something. I don't know what his end game is, and we never get to see it because all he gets to see is Santa climbing up the chimney with Buttons and Rusty in tow, and we don't even get to see this kid's reaction to the fact that he just saw the real Santa Claus.
Yeah, you're right. We never see it. It's just, Santa just disappears, and that's the end of that plot point, I guess.
You put Chekhov's skeptic preteen in here and didn't pull the trigger.
I mean, watching this, I was just like, wow, that ended so abruptly that I feel like this might have been supposed to be an hour and then they ran out of budget.
Oh, man, I hope it was never supposed to be an hour.
God, what would the other half have been?
I don't know. More running around in these back rooms, but that's all this was. I don't know. Maybe put more Christmas tree train in the Christmas tree train? Is that too much to ask?
I mean, Santa's appearance is a pretty literal Deus Ex Machina.
Absolutely. And we do get to see his sleigh and reindeer on the roof of this toy store building, and Santa tells his reindeer,
"We've got a little practice run to make, gang."
What I want to know is why aren't Buttons and Rusty like, what's a sleigh? What's a reindeer?
Hey, yeah, they didn't know what a person was. They just found out about Santa Claus.
Yeah, and they thought he was like a bear with dirty nails. So...
Yeah. But here, from what Santa tells his fleet, it's not Christmas Eve. It's earlier. He's calling this a practice run. Did he just park his reindeer on the roof and leave them there while he's working or whatever he's doing?
You could have at least left them some water, Santa.
Really? I'm not really clear on what he's doing at this store. Is this special trying to establish that every mall Santa is real?
That's how I've always felt.
I guess so.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when you put on the beard, it's becoming Santa.
Well,
Santa doesn't have to be just one person.
No. That's a good point. I remember when I was very little, my parents were hosting a Christmas party at our house, and one of my dad's friends dressed up as Santa, and I rushed upstairs to see if he parked his sleigh in my driveway. Only found a couple of cars, so I grew up thinking when it's not Christmas Eve, Santa must drive.
Yeah, Santa must drive a Buick.
Yeah, well, so of course he's going to bring the sleigh to Manhattan. Better than driving.
I mean, Manhattan is known for pretty well-filled streets. So
sure.
Yeah, you don't want to take surface streets. You want to take the sleigh.
No, whatever it takes to beat the traffic. But he does say, I'm a little rusty after 12 months off. And Buttons points to his friend and said, in 12 months, you'll be a big rusty.
Wah, wah.
They all have a laugh. Santa flies them home, where now Ranger Jones is explaining what Christmas is to the Cubs' parents, who also have never heard of Sandy Claus and don't know if he can be trusted. And almost immediately they hear a prancing and pawing on the roof, and Santa just sends the Cubs down the chimney by themselves and leaves.
And he's wrapped them up in little ribbons, too. So.
Little bow ties. Yeah, at least he's done that, but just yeet down the chimney. Here are your kids. Bye.
Now, sometimes there are rules about whether kids can see Santa before or after midnight or before Christmas. Are there any rules about Santa not letting adults see him? Have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah, I don't think. Oh, I guess it is his MO not to be seen while he's working.
Yeah.
But Buttons and Rusty and the Ranger and their parents all look out the window and they do catch Santa leaving, and he gives them Merry Christmas a little bit early. And they all wave back and shout and a Happy New Year, and that's it.
Merry Christmas! A little bit early! Ho, ho, ho! I must be dreaming.
The Christmas tree train is coming.
Yeah, now we just have the standard Hanna-Barbera Frozen cast list. I don't know why it is that these particular credits always stand out because they look like they're a freeze frame from a VCR somehow.
Yeah, it's always in almost solid color, and here are two characters that we had in here, little cells of them on this solid background, and here's the cast. But
yeah,
sign of the times.
That's our movie. That's it seems like there should have been more, but there wasn't.
Yeah, I was really counting on a little more of a Christmas tree train to be in the special called The Christmas Tree Train. I do love trains around this time of year, and it doesn't really have enough of it. But I enjoyed revisiting this. How about you?
I'd never visited it before, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a certain kind of embryonic quality to this, if that makes any sense. It feels
does.
Like it's the start of any number of other Christmas specials. Like they didn't quite fill out everything that they would have if you had made, a full Christmas special with, if you had cast this with regular characters from something else, something that kids would recognize, then there would be a lot more going on with this. But right now it sort of feels like what they wanted to do was license somebody to be the stars of this, and then they couldn't, so they had to use their own characters that they hadn't really filled out very well.
It could be a little of that, but then this is Buttons and Rusty's first special, and they're just getting started, and they do end up in other specials. They did make something of this.
Yeah, there was, you said there was a Halloween special and an Easter special?
I think there was an Easter special. There was definitely a Thanksgiving one. I feel like there was one, something about fall or not fall, or something about back to school I saw. It was
back
strange.
To school?
Yeah,
that's no holiday. That doesn't count.
But the Halloween one is called Which Witch is Which?
Yes, that's the first one that I've heard of. I saw that before. And, there have been a bunch of things with the title Which Witch is Which.
Sure, but that's the first one I think of.
Uh-huh. The first one I think of is this very strange picture book that involved witches that always struck me as a terrible misuse of the idea of, there's a character in there whose name is Jack O'Lantern.
Ah!
Now, I bet you can imagine a whole bunch of ways for a character whose name is Jack O'Lantern to be, right? Well, he's just a mailman with a pumpkin-shaped truck.
Well, that's disappointing.
Yes. It's disappointing on the same level as, the movie Pumpkinhead. It's like, don't promise me a pumpkin-headed monster and then not deliver.
Come on, man. You had one job.
Yeah. I don't care if you're one of the great special effects gurus of this world. You had a job.
I've been swindled. Oh, but Ethan, thank you for riding this crazy train with me.
And I can't say much for the dining car, but the company, second to none.
Well, thank you. And if people want to hide behind your furniture and find out if your whiskers are fake, where can they find you on the internet?
Hey, check me out at thehungryreader.com to see my YouTube page where I check out children's books from all over the last century, especially the Oz books by L. Frank Baum. But if you want to hear me doing more stuff with Mike of Advent Calendar House and also Mike of Special Presentation, then go listen to Special Presentation, my podcast where I look at at adaptions of comic strips from newspapers, and you wouldn't believe how many we keep finding.
Yes, please go check that out. It covers a lot of great stuff that I don't get to talk about on a holiday-focused podcast, but I love it. Thank you again, Ethan.
Always. Thank you for letting me out of the euphemism.
Anytime. Well, podcast pals, you can find show notes for all the tangents we went on in this episode at adventcalendar.house. And you can say hi to me on Twitter at FallWestMike and AdventCalHouse. Next episode is our Halloween in July special, and it's wicked. So stay tuned in just a couple of days. Until then, for Ethan the Hungry Reader, live from next to a garbage can I stupidly just ran into, this is Mike Westfall reminding you to watch out for stupid garbage cans and icy patches and strange men who open boxes with scimitars. Good night.
The Christmas tree train is here.
And now, these messages.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a podcaster, a lifelong Christmas nerd, and a professional Santa. And I have a Christmas podcast called North Pole Radio. Each week I sit down with a fellow Christmas performer, a fellow Christmas podcaster, or just a fellow Christmas nerd and talk about all things Christmas. There's a heavy focus on the art of portraying Santa, but we also cover Christmas movies, Christmas songs, Christmas food, and, well, basically anything Christmas. So check out North Pole Radio wherever you download podcasts.
Next time on the Advent Calendar House.
Rue McClanahan and Rue McClanahan with a cast of hundreds. They'll show one little boy the Halloween time of his life. The Wickedest Witch, after Al, Monday.